Hello again, and we are on our way to Delhi Airport Terminal 2 to catch an IndiGo flight to Chennai. It's been a while since I flew IndiGo, but the reason I'm taking this particular flight is because it's at a decent time. There are not too many late morning flights between Delhi and Chennai. Most flights between Delhi and Chennai operate between 5:30 in the morning and about 8 o'clock. This is a 9:50 a.m. departure. It's about 8 in the morning right now. I'm still getting to the airport a bit early because you don't want to take a chance with security lines anymore. But well, what the hell. So Terminal 2 is of course the oldest of Delhi's three terminals in terms of its current look and shape. So I'll give you a slight overview of the terminal once I'm there.
The access road to Delhi's Terminal 2 is pretty much the same as the access road to Terminal 3. On our way there, it was a hubbub of construction activity, and as you can see here, the Eastern Cross taxiways have the over road part almost ready. The final part of the access to Delhi's Terminal 2 was the old International Road, and it's pretty much the same as it's always been. Terminal 2 was reactivated a few years ago when capacity at Terminal 1 was crossing all limits, as well as the fact that Terminal 1 needed to be redone for the future.
Hello, so we're through security. For express security, that took quite a long time, but it was mainly one group of passengers trying their luck with stuff in hand luggage. They should have really checked in those things because no wonder the security personnel were a bit upset. They had walkie-talkies with them, and I don't know how that's going to go through on a flight inside India. So now to find my gate and give you an overview of T2.
Operations at Delhi's Terminal 2 began when the reconstruction of Delhi's Terminal 1 started. All of Go First Airways flights from Delhi operate from Terminal 2, as do a limited number of flights for IndiGo, the airline I was flying today and India's largest low-cost airline, in fact, India's largest airline. I find it fascinating how IndiGo spread out its operations across all three terminals at Delhi Airport.
So I found a quiet corner. This is an announcement-filled airport, so there are lots of announcements here for passengers who are lost. It's a difficult terminal to get lost. Now another one coming up. No.
Passengers are requested to wear masks and maintain social distancing norms at all times during air travel. The mask shall not be moved below the nose except under exceptional circumstances. Failure to comply with the COVID-19 protocols will result in a penalty of Rs 500 or denied carriage by airlines and removal from terminal building by security agencies.
So that's it. So lots and lots of announcements. Now they'll probably be in Hindi as well. Maybe not. Anyway, so Hindi now. So that was that.
Good morning, IndiGo.
Lots and lots of announcements. I mean, this is as loud as I've seen in a while. Delhi Terminal 3 is actually civilized. It's not so loud. There are not so many announcements for flights or until you're really late. Long story short, it's quite crowded. I mean, I'm near the gate for my flight. Doesn't look particularly packed. I think it'll probably be a 2/3 or 3/4 full flight. It's still a lot. The incoming plane started its day in Chennai and it's on final approach. I'm flying on India Sierra Echo today. One of the first batch of A320 Neos, which have the Pratt & Whitney gear turbofan engine, not the newer ones which all have the LEAP engine. IndiGo has 150 plus A320 Neos now, so it's a large fleet. I'm actually surprised we're not on the A321, but I guess in Delhi-Chennai, because IndiGo operates so many flights, they're mainly A320s, similarly like Delhi-Mumbai.
The inbound flight, which was also coming from Chennai, was delayed thanks to the morning rush hour of landings at Delhi Airport. However, thanks to IndiGo's relative efficiency in boarding, we were on board fairly quickly and pushed back at about 10:05 a.m., about 15 minutes after scheduled departure time. After pushback, we went across all the parked aircraft, many Go Air parked aircraft, which I found very surprising, as well as the old jet 777s. I hope I see them in operation soon. We also saw the new Terminal 1 under construction. We lined up on runway 28 and began our takeoff roll. As we lifted off, we also got a great view of all these parked A320s. Many of them had their engine covers on, as well as their tires covered in foil. Over here you can see a great overview of the old Terminal 2 and the brand new and massive Terminal 3. It's really a contrast in sizes. I wonder what Delhi Airport will do with Terminal 2 once Terminal 1 reopens. I was seated in seat 8 Alpha, and seat pitch was not great for a 2.5-hour long flight, but not very bad either. As I was booked on a corporate fare, I got a meal, but you have to pre-book the fresh food on IndiGo, otherwise you just get what you saw. Maggi noodles, instant Maggi noodles, and a drink, which in my case was a Diet Coke. The countryside below me was covered by cloud for most of the flight. As we approached Chennai, we flew closer and closer to the eastern seaboard of India, and over southern Andhra Pradesh, we went across the coast and flying over the Bay of Bengal as we began our approach into Chennai International Airport. We were landing at Chennai Airport's runway 7 today. That involved an approach over almost the entire city and over the Adyar river. You can see the massive urban sprawl that Chennai has become now, and this urban sprawl has of course led to lots of problems in the city and intense flooding because a lot of the wetlands and the lakes have been covered up by construction. As we approach Chennai Airport, you can see the Chennai Metro line that leads to Chennai International Airport. Chennai Airport is actually one of the few airports that has done this sort of planning. The metro station is well integrated into the airport. As we landed, you could also see the construction at Chennai Airport going on. They are also building a new domestic pier to connect the existing domestic pier to the international pier. Chennai Airport is one of the few large Indian airports that was not privatized by the government of India because the government's coalition partners at the time, Tamil regional party called the TMK, did not want Chennai Airport privatized. This has led to Chennai Airport losing some of its importance in South India to Bangalore Airport, which is now much, much larger than Chennai. I apologize for the dirty windows and the slightly blurry picture. IndiGo should really clean the outside of their planes a bit more often. I just passed through Chennai Airport pretty quickly and was soon on my way to my hotel, the ITC Grand Chola, which is fairly close to the airport. It's about a 15 to 20 minute drive.
Meeting's over and we are headed to Chennai Airport to catch IndiGo flight 2752, back to Delhi. It's going to take 2.5 hours to get home, but my flight's only at 7:35 and it's about 5:15 right now in the evening. Stuff is done. Chennai Airport isn't the best place to hang around, but I'll give you a walk through Chennai Airport once I get there.
Operations were taking place on runway 12 today, so it gave us some great views of aircraft taking off. The access road to the departure side of Chennai domestic is full of construction of the new pier being built in the middle. The terminal, like most other terminals in India, is a steel truss and glass terminal, but it has had its issues over the years with many of the glass panes falling down due to bad construction.
Been about 2 years since I've come to Chennai Airport. In fact, Chennai to Delhi was the last flight I took before the world changed. Couple of things walking around the airport. Mask compliance is horrible. Much worse than Delhi Airport. Much worse than Mumbai Airport. And I am at gate 13, but I'm wondering if I should just go to one of the lounges. There are quite a few lounges out here. I've got an hour plus to kill, so let's see. I mean, Either I go to a lounge or I spend on overpriced popcorn. Has to be seen. But to be fair, the food options here are not all that mad expensive. So yeah, let's walk through the airport. Came to the lounge any which way. It's going to be a bus gate. It's 2 hours before takeoff. And I've got a nice view of the airside. You can see the operations coming in. The planes are using runway 5 today, which is very rare. So yeah, you can see them taking off. Pretty cool view.
I had found a nice seat at the lounge with a great view of Gate 1 at the terminal, where I could see AirAsia A320, Victor Tango Romeo Echo Delta parked right in front of me, and the SpiceJet plane moving, and I also got a Vistara flight taking off. It's very strange because IndiGo is completely dominant at Chennai airport, operating almost 3/4 of the flights over here. But we could see IndiGo. If I just looked a bit to the left, I could see IndiGo. Now over here you can see the Vistara flight to Delhi taking off. I could have taken this flight and been back home about 2 hours sooner, but I'll show you why I took my IndiGo flight a bit later on. There was something curious about my IndiGo flight as well today. It was going to be operated by an A320 CEO, India Foxtrot Mike. Now, IndiGo now has about 167 A320s in their fleet, but only 28 CEOs compared to the time they had about 120 CEOs. While taking off, the lights were not very dim in the cabin, so there was too much reflection. So only when we got to a slight amount of altitude did I manage to take some pictures of Chennai city as we climbed out. Now, the reason I chose this particular flight was because I wanted to try out the pre-booked meal service on IndiGo and show what you can get. I had chosen the chicken supreme salad, so let's see how it was. While the meal was included as part of the fare class I was paying on, selecting this meal involved going through some hoops, and I have to thank IndiGo social media for arranging the meal for me about 12 hours before we took off. Thanks to them, and I must admit the meal quality was quite good. There was a lot of chicken. In fact, even little beetroot juliennes and carrot juliennes had chicken below them. Very good quality meal, and a hell of a lot better than having instant noodles on board a flight. I wish IndiGo did offer some of these meals to purchase or even give them out on the flight. I know they don't want food wastage, but they do have a fairly significant meal choice, as you can see in the pictures now. And I wish it was just easier to buy some of this stuff on board, because not everybody can go to the website and choose their meals. I'm sure passengers are getting more and more savvy about it. Again, the lights were not dimmed for landing, so while we were landing, we had lots of reflection on the window. But it felt good to fly an IndiGo CEO, and you realize how much louder the CEO is than the Neos now. But a good flight by IndiGo, and I'll continue to fly them going forward.